Hello guys, what's going on? It's Typical Wrestling here, and we have another episode of Monday Night Raw. We're so close to SummerSlam, almost at Survivor Series for some reason. We're got 19,000 people in the LA New Orleans arena. Let's just cut right to the chase. And Chris Jericho makes his way out, we open the show with Chris Jericho, break the walls down. He's got a microphone in hands. He says that the reason for his recent attacks on The Miz or simply due to The Miz's complete lack of respect to him, basic, WWE scenario. But he wants to talk about something else besides that. He wants to talk about something that happened earlier these past 5 months. And he points to the Titantron, and we see various videos of The Miz. Most of them are the promos about, The Miz, if you remember those promos where he's talking about his destiny, him knowing things that other people don't know, very vague things. That's not something usually The Miz talks about. And also talks about how, he was, apparently talking to Triple H that one time before he was beaten up by John Cena at the road to Cyber Sunday. So basically Jericho says that at first he thought, oh, maybe The Miz is in an alliance with the McMahons. But no, that's not what's happening. He's too egocentric for that. What he really sees is The Miz desperate for attention. Ever since WrestleMania 27, The Miz has just been on the floor. He's done. He had fallen down. He was the U.S. champion, which Chris Jericho admits is a very prestigious champion to hold. He has not held it. But, still that's a long way down from being the WWE champion going into and beating John Cena. The Miz is riding the coattails of Orton, Punk, and Jericho himself to get back to the top. He wants that position, and what better way to do it than have a continual endless feud in relatively good matches with these 3 other guys. This finally brings out The Miz, who basically just says that it's the 3 men riding his coattails to the top, not the other way around. That's definitely something The Miz would say. CM Punk and Randy Orton also come out to argue. Before they even really get the chance, Raw GM Stone Cold comes out and he says he's sick and tired of this war between the 4 men. The audience isn't, but, definitely he's sick of it. So at SummerSlam, we're going to have one last match, Fatal 4-Way, Jericho, Miz, Orton, and Punk. But the winner of that match will be the number 1 contender to the WWE Championship, whether that be Brock Lesnar or Kofi Kingston. And so, all 4 men look pretty pleased. The Miz and Randy Orton look a little slightly more pleased than the others, because Orton was saying he didn't want to even be in the match unless it was that, and The Miz seems to have gotten his way somewhat, getting a title shot. So we'll have to see who will end up getting that title shot, as we have a very much a kind of squash match in which, for 5 minutes, Bray Wyatt ends TJP's life, ending with the senton, a standing senton. I always like the standing senton. TJP did really good, actually, all things considered. And Bray Wyatt, of course, is Bray Wyatt, so he was obviously had the best performance. But before he actually goes to kill TJP, Daniel Bryan comes out and they start trading blows. Daniel Bryan's kicks, Bray Wyatt's punches. The crowd's going nuts as Daniel Bryan is one of the first few men to kind of stand up, besides Yujiro Takahashi, but that's a sentence I never thought I'd say again, to Bray Wyatt, and they kind of brawling out. So we can assume that this match is made for SummerSlam, Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt. Next we have a really good match between Colt Cabana and Chris Sabin, or just Sabin as ours, and Colt Cabana is able to secure the win with the Chicago Crab and make Sabin tap out. So always good to see, and just an 84 B+ solo-wise from these guys is really good to see. Colt Cabana improving really, really good over these past couple of months. Always nice. So then we have a segment in which we see the Big Show's getting ready for a match. A tag match, the announce team tells us. That the Big Show, having officially challenged Yujiro Takahashi for his United States Championship, I assume that's on WWE.com, will team with Austin Aries, who will fight for his NXT Championship at SummerSlam. So we got 2 SummerSlam Championship matches. We tease some dissension as Austin Aries comes in saying that while they're teammates now, he hopes the Big Show doesn't win at the biggest party this summer, as he wouldn't want to crush the veteran's heart once he goes after the U.S. title. We're doing the belt collector gimmick for Austin Aries. Big Show says that attitude is exactly why he's challenging for the U.S. title. He's sick of the new faces of WWE not realizing that WWE is still the land of the giants, and he's going to prove that when he takes the U.S. title away from him. So, it's Big Show with the beanie. When he's got the beanie on, shit's fucked. It's serious. So I believe that match is next. And an 81 B plus, not a B plus, just B. I figured this would do as it did. The Big Show and Austin Aries, the dissension does not happen, as it's them who pick up the win against Xavier Woods, as Austin Aries was able to hit the 450 splash onto Xavier Woods. So the challengers picking up the momentum win against the champions coming into SummerSlam. Yeah, pretty decent match overall. You know, the Big Show with the second highest rating, actually. Austin Aries with the 77 already. Always good to see. Next we have, and I figure, oh, you know what? This segment didn't do good because I forgot to have the storyline with it. Whatever. I would go back and fix it, but whatever. Basically, the Shield are talking about the three-way kind of war match that's going on, not an actual War Games match, but you know, with England's Finest and Team Raw, and they mock John Morrison and R-Truth, saying, oh, they need a partner, and Evan Bourne ends up coming up. He somehow found where the Shield to do their videos, and I'm not sure why Evan Bourne would know where that's at, but you know, whatever, he's Evan Bourne. And Evan Bourne basically says, you know, he's going to be the one to step up to the Shield. He's officially saying that if, you know, John Morrison and R-Truth accept, that he would gladly be in the position of that kind of lead for, you know, Team Raw against the Shield and England's Finest. So that's pretty much that segment. And in a 92A, I don't know how this is a decent match, the Gatecrashers and Lay Cool managed to get the win on Madison Lane, Rain, and the Divas of Doom in 1756 when Velvet defeated Rain by using, basically, actually, and this isn't underhanded tactics, basically what happened is that AJ Lee comes out as a form of distracting the heel team and managing, you know, the rookie Rain, the rookie in the sense of WWE, managing to pick the win up via roll-up as AJ Lee. So AJ Lee's kind of pissing off Madison Lane, ruining her night. Rain had the lowest performance with the 51, although 51's not too bad, while Madison Lane had the 96, because Madison Lane in this mod, for some reason, is just fucking awesome, and she's Madison Lane. So yeah, continuing that feud, and also a really good match, a 92A, always good to see. And in the Superb match, why did this match not do as good? Slowly building. Let's see. Was it... short match length. I think I had it set to 19, but it went, you know, it sometimes goes higher than 19 and goes lower than 19. So it went lower. So in the Superb match, Wade Barrett defeated John Morrison, defeated Wade Barrett with the Moonlight Drive. Team Raw getting one up on the England's Finest side of that little war we were talking about earlier. And we have Kofi Kingston coming out, and, you know, he's got a mic. You know, he's happy, but he's definitely more collected than he's past been. And he gives credit to Brock. You know, he says, Brock, you tricked me, you know, when we were in Canada and Toronto last week. You know, you got the jump on me. You know, I called you out, and you answered in force. So it's no one's fault but my own that I was the one that got my shit wrecked. But, you know what, that's not going to change anything. Because you can keep doing this thing. You can keep jumping me from behind. You could jump me from in front. You could just beat me up in general. But when it comes to a wrestling match, I'm the king of that. That's where I'm the beast. You're not a beast in the ring. You're just a beast in brawls. So when it comes down to one-on-one, when there's rules, when there's, you know, this isn't a no-holds-barred match. This isn't anything like that. This is simply a wrestling match. And that's where I have, you know, the home court advantage. And all of a sudden, as soon as he says that, Kings of Wrestling come out. You know, they got microphones, and Chris Hero says, you know, you talk about you being, you know, wrestling is your home court advantage. Well, there's no one better at wrestling than the Kings of Wrestling. And since Brock's not here tonight, why don't you face us in a tag match as the main event of Raw? You know, Kings of Wrestling, it's time besides we proved that, you know, you're nothing compared to us anyway. You know, we're the real kings of WWE. And Kofi's like, okay, I'll fine. So they talk about that from the announce break, that Kofi is looking currently for a tag team partner. And, this is actually another thing I forgot to mention. Bro moment. So this is supposed to be Chris Jericho. I had to switch it. Kofi has trouble finding a partner until he turns to Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho accepts pretty much. This was supposed to be Randy, and this would have had a bitter... I kind of would have written this segment out. But, again, I didn't have time, so Chris Jericho is going to be teaming. Randy Orton's just in the background, like, chilling like a villain. He's probably got, like, some drinks, and he calls Kofi Kingston stupid, like he did on SmackDown. Forgot about this. So basically, Ezekiel's in the ring when we cut back to commercial, and Minoru Suzuki just comes out and kills him. In 3 minutes, he chokes Ezekiel out, and his contract's up, so we will never see him again. So basically, Michael Cole, he talks about this wasn't supposed to be a match. Ezekiel just came out, and then Minoru Suzuki just came out. So yeah, Minoru Suzuki is just he's just in WWE now. And he just killed Ezekiel, so that's always fun. I know. I think I mentioned with Ezekiel. Ezekiel. This is the last couple days of his contract. I had kind of plans for him, but they just fell at the wayside once the series kind of got rolling on YouTube. And I know I mentioned this before, but I wanted to kind of open up the field a little bit. So there's some mid-card guys I wanted to go off and maybe join TNA or maybe join Ring of Honor, because I've kind of gutted the independent scene, so kind of put some more lifeblood out in there. But just as I know, Ezekiel had no problem just jobbing out to Minoru Suzuki, which I think is pretty awesome. So he jobs him out in 3 minutes. Minoru Suzuki just kills Ezekiel. So there's that. And then we have Kane doing some Kane shit. But he seems a little off. Kane just kind of looks a little weird. He looks kind of depressed for some reason. I don't know why Kane would be depressed, but the Big Show comes up to him, and he's like, "Yo, Kane, we're buddies. You can talk if you want to talk." Basically, we have a short, 5-minute therapy session with the Big Show and Kane, because I needed to fill some more time. And in the 98A star match, as our main event, Kings of Wrestling pick up the win, because Brock Lesnar came in. I don't know why. I said it literally to, I can't talk. This was supposed to be set so it was like, Kofi Kingston, is beaten up by Brock. So Brock Lesnar runs in, and he just kind of beats Kofi and Jericho. And, seeing that, Kings of Wrestling, like, oh shit, they pick up the Quicklin, and they hightail it out of here. Dirt sheet. I wonder why. Was it Kofi Kingston? Oh, Kofi Kingston was holding back. So Kofi Kingston was holding back a little bit. I was wondering why he didn't get a 90. But a 98 star is always still good. And then Brock Lesnar is like, I guess he took that comment about, oh, Brock, you could just keep beating me up, and he was like, okay. And he just starts beating the shit. He beats up Chris Jericho too, just because he happens to be there. He's like a piece of meat. He's like, oh, there's that guy. And he beats him up, but mostly focuses on Kofi. So the story, it's a simple story. Brock is Brock, and Kofi is Kofi. Can Kofi be able to beat Brock? That is the main question we have. So we end the show with a 96A. I thought that would have gotten a lower rating, but our show has increased our popularity in 29 regions, and yeah, a pretty good overall Raw, and I'm very happy with it. So I'll see you guys for SmackDown and Superstars as we continue the road to SummerSlam.